All set, guys? Ready for another lesson. And of course, my shelves were cut yesterday. And, well, they were just cut a few minutes ago. Whoa, this shirt really smells after 4 days. I'm actually doing this Monday. That's the beauty of this. But I did get a chance to cut my 4 miters on my 2 shelves. And I'm all set, ready to put this project together. So let's give it a shot. We talked about using screws to put it together. The screws are going to go through my counterbore hole. I, of course, drilled my pilot hole, then my counterbore hole. This dado will fit directly over top of that mitered corner, which fits so well. If you feel that, well, you can't feel that, but it's nice and even. And I'm going to do that on all 4 sides of this to create my table. So we'll put it together. Here's the story. I'm going to use my drill. Oh boy. I bet you my bit snapped. Hey, I put the screw tip on so my drill bit didn't break. Remember? Pull out the brass ring, the drill bit. Wow, if that was out there, looks like I dodged a bullet there, buddy, huh? Oh yeah. So that's why the screw tip always stays on here. But I'm ready to put the whole project together now. Let's give it a shot. A couple of things that I want to do before I start is I want to look at my table shelves. If you look at this table, when I put it the regular height, you're going to notice that we really only see one shelf. If you look at this, I'm not going to see the top shelf very well because my top of the project is literally going to cover the majority of what I see on that top shelf. So out of these 4 sides, out of the top surface, bottom surface, top surface, bottom surface, I really want I only need one pristine one. This one, the top side of the bottom shelf, should be the absolute showpiece. So if you look at your shelves, that's what I'm going to do right now, is evaluate where I want my shelves to go. And what's the good side, what's the bad side. So if you come over and take a look, just so I don't screw this up, which I'm used to doing all the time, I can look at this surface, I look at this surface, I look at this surface, I look at this surface. What do I want to see the most? So if I look at this, I really like this grain. It's kind of book matched where it kind of looks like flames. I like that a lot. If I flip this over to this other side, kind of simple. It's like doing your taxes. It's kind of mundane. When you look at this, that one's okay, but I like this one a heck of a lot better. So just so that I understand that I'm going to keep that one as a good side, again, masking tape, I put 1 piece of masking tape on that surface. Never mark in pencil or with a Sharpie because that eventually has to come out. And you just clean that up, polished it, finished it, it's all done. Let's take a look at this surface. This surface is okay. Again, this one kind of has that bookmarked flame marks on here from the grain, so I really like that one. So I'm going to say these 2 are my best surfaces. Now, out of these 2, which one do I like the best? Is one sanded better? No, they look like they're okay. I kind of like this one better because if you notice up here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a difference a little bit with the grain color. So I'm going to say that this is my better of the 2 surfaces. So guess what I'm going to do? Another piece of masking tape on you. So here are my 2 surfaces that I'm going to use. This one's going to be my bottom surface. This will be my top shelf upper surface. And the undersides I don't really care a whole lot about. Now I'm going to put this whole thing together. Doesn't matter what shelf I use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the shelves. Let's say I'll take the top shelf. I'm going to put it in the vise so that the 45-degree angle cut that I made on the chop saw is parallel to this table. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select a leg. And of course, it didn't matter because all these legs were cut the same way. The other thing that's really important to note, the distance in these dados. If I had cut one 3 inches and another one 5 inches, it would matter when I put the second leg on that it lines up to the first leg. But because this is 3 inches and this is 3 inches, it doesn't matter if I place it this way or place it this way. So this is going to be my top surface. And what I always like to do, and I think I tell people this all the time, see this tape? Put the tape facing the table. I think that's an easy way to make sure that you know what you're going to get by looking at it this way. I'm going to take my leg. I'm going to place this directly over top of my shelf and make sure by using my fingers that I center this leg on the shelf. I want to make sure that I avoid something like that. That's an absolute disaster. And it shouldn't be off a little bit. It shouldn't be sort of or close to. It should be absolutely perfect. So I'm going to place this where it has to be. Now let me take a walk over and I'm going to get my drill. Because I was wise and left my screw tip in, I didn't break my drill bit. But what I am going to do is I'm going to drill a pilot hole, because a lot of the times that you guys use this, we're working with hardwoods. Oak, maple, cherry, all of them are so hard that if I put a screw into a hole without drilling a pilot, that wood is so hard it would probably snap the screw. So what I want to do is I'm going to drill a pilot hole first using my drill. I'm going to center this on my hands, my left hand, and I'm going to choose the drill bit with my right hand. Now I'm going to drill the hole. Now I'm going to drilling the. Now I'm drilling the.
How's it coming?
This isn't. It's not. Something's wrong. Something's missing. I think something's missing, all right. What happened? Oops. If anybody remembers this from my little talk a few weeks ago, that drill bit, if you look at the spin of that drill bit, is supposed to be moving clockwise. Something that we never talk about. This drill could go forward. It could also go in reverse. If you look at this particular drill, over here, there's a pin. That pin has to go to the left in order for this drill bit to move clockwise. If it moves clockwise, you shouldn't have any problem drilling a hole. If it's going to the right, you will never drill a hole down. So let's see if this works out any better. I'm going to center this. Perfect. Boom, boom, it's done. So I'm finished drilling my pilot hole. Now I can put my screw in. Because this drill bit can fall and snap, I'm going to put it on its side. I'm going to take the leg, place it down. I'm going to flip the drill bit over to the screw tip side. Place it in. God bless you. Place it in. Not COVID-19. It's COVID-19. It's their highest number. No, it's just a silent sneeze. I'm going to take my drill, put the screw on top of the drill, hold on to my leg because I don't have a teacher here who will do it for me. Because it's a mechanical tip, that'll go right in place. Center this. With my left hand, place it on top of the drill. On off, 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 on off. And we talk about a thing called torque. As I turn this, you'll notice that the handle starts to move on the drill. That's telling me, hey, jackass, that screw is down as far as it's going to go. I could keep on doing that, but if I drill and I go all the way through my countered bored hole, the screw will be stuck in the shelf and it won't be attached to the leg anymore. Right now, that's holding in there absolutely perfect. So right here, this is anchored. Centered on here, it looks really good. Ta-da! Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my second shelf on. The same way. I'm going to take the shelf, I'm going to place it in the vise, and what I want to try to make sure that I do is that I put the tape going in the same direction. So if this tape is this way, I want my tape going this way over here. And let's see how this works out. Okay, so this is the top shelf, this is the bottom shelf. let me place this here, and this should work out, right?
Perfect.
Maybe if I lift the shelf and hold, no. Yeah, it's not going to work out like this. If I take this and spin it over this way, I have tape on this side, but the tape is on the other side. How can I get this to work? Oh, you know what I could do? If I take this and flip it around this way, maybe this will work. Will this work? Perfect, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good, right? I don't think so. Come over here. Come closer. Come closer. If you look at the direction of this grain, the grain is running in this direction. If you look at the direction of the second shelf, oops, it's not running this way as it is on the top shelf, it's running this way. I want the grain of the two shelves to line up. So please make sure when you do this, I take the shelf and I can move it in 90 degrees, any direction. I can move it that side or that side. If I just flip it around this way and I place this leg back over top, you'll notice that the grain of the second shelf, that bottom shelf, now lines up with the grain of the top shelf. And it's also not making contact with the table. I'll do it the same exact way. I'm going to take my leg, center it. I'm going to take my drill bit. Oops, I have to switch that to the drill side. Flip it over. Get that to go in. Slide the brass ring back. Center the leg. Right here looks pretty good. Now I'm going to drill a hole. It's going forward, so it takes about 19 milliseconds. Flip it over to the screw tip. 1 1/4" number 8 screw. Lay it directly on top of the drill. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Now what I'm going to do is line that up. This is going forward. I place this in the hole. And what I'm going to do is make sure it's centered in place. It's a little heavier now. I wish I had a teacher here to hold this. But my teacher died a while ago. Yeah. On, off, on, off. I'm going to put my left hand on top. On, off. Oops. Up, up. On, off. On, off. On, off. On, off. On, off. There's my torque. It's telling me I'm down all the way. I'm all set. So let's take a look at what I have here. I have the top shelf, which only had one piece of tape. Bottom shelf, which has a second piece of tape, and that's the side I'm going to see. So now I'm all set to put the whole thing together. So what I can do is I can move on to the next leg. I can take this bad boy if I want. I can place it just like this. Tighten down my vise. And again, because the legs are 3 inches up from the bottom, 3 inches down from the top, it doesn't really matter how I do this. I'm going to line it up, center it, squeeze it with my finger, screw tip, out, drill bit in. I'll drill out my top hole. If I want, I could put the screw in, but I'm going to choose to drill this one out as well because I'm on that proverbial roll. I'm going to switch this to the screw tip. I'll do it the same exact way. 1 1/4" number 8 screws. Lay this on top, center it, on off, 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 on off. There's the torque. It's telling me, okay, it's down far enough. Move on to the next screw. And I'll do this one as well. When I do this, like I said, if you're using softwood, you could literally go too far. If I'm using hardwood, I could snap the screw if I don't drill that pilot hole. So it's really important that you think about the material that you guys are working on. Last 2 legs, center it. Again, because they're both 3 inches, it doesn't really matter which way I do this. Screw tip is out, brass ring comes out, take it, flip it. These quick disconnect drill bits are really a great thing. I had a former student show me about this, and I was sold on it immediately. And it's really saved a ton of time because you're not going back and forth to the drill press. On off, on off, on off, on off, on off, on off, on off. There's the torque. I'm down far enough. Bop, bop, bop. Now, I don't want to put too much pressure on here. As a matter of fact, I probably am smart if I take this and flip it in the vise this way, because if I put any pressure on that table, I don't want to snap that leg off. Now it's being supported by the vise, so that's a much more secure way of doing it. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. There's the torque, down all the way. And literally, just like I said before, I'm on my last leg. What a funny guy. Screw tip, switch to a drill bit, center it, drill down, no problem, because I'm going forward. Screw tip, drill bit, in, screw tip out, final 2 1/4" number 8 screws. On, off, 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 torque, torque, you see, torque, torque, torque. And I'll do it over here. And believe it or not, my table, she is almost done. So there it is. If you take a look at this, my grain that I like the best down below, my other grain up top, and again, I'm not going to see a whole lot of it because once I put a top on this, this is going to be the cutest little table alive. I'm not going to see a whole lot of that other than the outside edge of there, that perimeter around there. But this is going to be as cute as can be. The next thing that we're going to do, and I don't know that we're going to have time to do it today, is we're going to drill out some plugs to cover up these unsightly holes. If you remember when we did it on the drill press, drilling the pilot hole and then counter boring, we left this hole so that the screw can go in and makes contact with the leg. It's into that shelf, so it's locked in place. But we want to cover that up so it looks a lot better. So let's take a walk over to the old drill press and we'll see if we can cut some plugs. Walk this way. Oh, I did that already. Oh, sorry. Okay. As many of you know, because you all made a footstool, this is the plug cutter that we're going to use mounted onto the drill press, and we're going to drill some plugs that will go into those holes. To do this, there's a drill bit, that 3/8 bit that I use to counterbore is already located in the drill press. So again, I can't repeat this enough. How do I take a drill bit out of the drill press? I'm going to take a piece of scrap wood, put it over the hole. Chuck key goes into the chuck of the drill press. The teeth interlock, and I'm going to move this to loosen counterclockwise. Lefty loose. No. Counterclockwise. Look, I tighten this down, so look at how tight it is. See how I was able to, with my strength, get this out? I loosen it up. I'm going to pull the drill bit out, and I'm going to put the plug cutter in. To put the plug cutter in, I talked to you guys about the sleeve that's located above the chuck. I could turn this a million times with the chuck key, but that gets to be a royal pain in the can. If I just move this towards my right, the chuck will close, and it will close over top of that plug cutter. I'm holding on to it. I better put this on just in case it falls, and I'm going to tighten up the plug cutter into the chuck. Now I'm all set. I'm ready to drill out some plugs. I'm going to get a piece of scrap wood, which I hold in my hand. I'm going to use this piece right here. And as I said to you before, this drill bit will stop right there because I set the discs to a certain depth. What I want to do is I'm going to raise up these discs, but more importantly, I don't want to move my hand a million times around here. I'm going to raise this table to make it a little bit closer to the drill bit. I loosen it up, I'm going to slide it up, I'm going to tighten it, so now all I have to do is go down that far in order to hit the plug cutter. Now what I want to do, if you come over to this side, I don't want the plug cutter to go all the way through. I want the plug cutter to probably come down maybe about 2/3 of the way through that board. Check it out. If you remember the last time, I held this, but I wanted to set the stop here. And it becomes difficult to me to go from there to there. So I'm going to use the quill lock. Psych! This quill lock. Tighten it down. That will magically stay. And now I'm going to move the disc to the depth I want them to be. Ta-da! Because this won't move, I have to, of course, loosen up the quill lock. I loosen it up. And now my depth is set to go about 2/3 of the way through this board. How many plugs do I need to cut? 8? You are correct, but how many times does it happen that 1 or 2 plugs break? Always. Very good. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut 10 plugs. I'll turn this on. Oops. I'll turn on my plug cutter and my drill press, hold on to it, and I'm going to slowly bring this down and let the plug cutter cut a plug out. What I've done is I slowly and neatly cut 1 plug out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 9 more plugs. And then what I could do is I could take these plugs out and I could put them into the holes to cover up the drilled hole and also the screw. If I do that and I chisel that down, you're never going to notice that there's a screw there at all. Any questions? Nothing? Any comments? Another good lesson? Yes. Any other comments? Great teacher? Yes. Anything else? I miss you guys a lot. I promise I'll wash this shirt. No. Actually, I'm going to shoot 1 more lesson this week, and then I'll change my shirt next week. Have a great evening. Stay safe.